Divine greetings, entities, energies, lovelies, bodies of light, the seekers and sojourners of truth, the 144, chosen of the chosen few. You all know who you are. I greet you in the love that lights the truth from my heart to yours. I am Celestial Earth in this cosmic beauty, divine elegance, and essence of it all. As usual, reporting to you live from nowhere other than dimension number 5. Stepping into 5D, walking through 5D. Welcome, welcome for those of you who are just getting in and finding 5D and wondering what is 5D all about. If you've been coming across my timeline or my channel or those like me, then you're probably in 5D and you're getting familiar. Listen to some of the 5D news or what's going on out here in these spiritual streets. This is where I listen to, because I don't watch the news. I pick up on where the guides are taking me to, right? Especially to those who are of like minds. So with that said, as usual, I bring you the news to infuse, if you so choose to infuse with that light on the light grid that we're all lighting up on right now, right? Or if not, you can always choose not to infuse, which means you choose to refuse. And remember, when you refuse, be prepared to be fried on the grid. That's the sound that you're going to hear, or you're going to feel it. If you don't hear it, you're going to feel it. And you just going to know something's off, especially right now during these purging times, these sensitive times for those, especially the 144 and you super sensitive, or you going to know right away, right? And for some people, I don't know, depending on how hard-headed they choose to be, either way, it's going to be an on the grid. All right. So with that said, let's talk about what today is. We're closing out this palindrome vortex that we have been in for the past about 9 to 10 days, from 520 to 529, which is today the 29th, 9. So in the middle of this palindrome, the number has now changed to 9, meaning 52925. And you will see that the numbers in the middle were always changing. For those who are not aware of what a palindrome is, you can watch the video I did explaining the palindrome probably about 3 days ago. But simply, it's just mirrored numbers that look like a mirrored reflection, and one number in the middle is different, right? And in this case, from the 20th to the 29th, that number in the middle has been different from 0 through 9, from the point of neutrality at 0 all the way through the 9 dimensions, of time, dimension number 9. Ashe. So what is 9? 9 is spiritual completion. So of course, I got the news to infuse with the spiritual completion. And this is a spiritual completion within the change of harmony, because that's the theme with this 2-5. Throughout this whole thing, it's echoing the change. It's echoing the change that we've been in the whole month of May, right? The 5th month, as they say, right? Not according to the 5D calendar, but according to Gregorian calendar, it is the 5th month, and that 5 represents a change. And not only that, when you, the month, the number, the universal number of that month of May is 14, which 4 and 1 is 5. So we've had these numbers, and we saw 5s a lot around the 5-5 portal, 555 portal, right? And so there's been this echo of change, change, change. And now, as we close out this month with the palindrome vortex, we're really seeing this change, with the 5 being on the ends and the 2 in the middle. And the 2 is the duality of harmony. So there is a duality of harmony. So there's this change that's happening through the duality of harmony. And of course, whatever the number is in the middle throughout this palindrome vortex, that's what's kind of guiding us with what's happening right throughout the day, as well as the universal number of that day, the universal number date, like whatever the day is, count up all those numbers and whatever they equal. That's what I call the code of the day, right? In this case, that would be 25, which equals a 7, but we'll talk about that a little bit later as I give you some information about it, because then I saw a 777 in today. Just like yesterday, I saw a 666. Like, man, the codes just be coming in. So whoever catch it, catch it. right? And you're welcome. Thank you for those of you who've been, I wanted to say this earlier. I was thinking I'm appreciative, and I was thinking about everybody that has been with me since last year, since even before when I started the channel, but specifically a lot have come on since last year, and I've been seeing some of those regulars, those same people. So I appreciate you, Starte. I appreciate you. If I forget a name, you know, forgive me, but that's one that stood out to me because Starte was the first one that bought the calendar, you know. So I'm always ever grateful, ever appreciative of that support, right? To those of you who have come on and joined the Starseed Connection group, you know, I'm thankful to all of you, Nafisa, Carrie. Some of you may have even just joined on here through us meeting at the Galactic Gathering, all of that. I'm thankful for you, Miss Gloria. I'm thankful for Miss. I just want to give my shout outs out there to Deja Star and all who have just been a part of it, who've been joining in. There was another one, Laura, two Lauras, right? Laura, my local Laura that's from here, my Reiki Laura, and then we have another Laura that joined us that even brought to me the halls of Amenti, so you know who you are, right? So do comment, because when you comment, that's where I kind of got the connection from the halls of Amenti when she mentioned that right when we were in the 888 Lionsgate, and I believe it's coming up again, right? The halls of Amenti is coming up again. So I wanted to take this time and give thanks to all of you who have been here through and through. Ashe. Before I get into speaking about today's own, I want to note something about the palindrome. So something to know about the palindromes, right? The palindrome is, there is one palindrome vortex per year, right? Last year it was in, what was it, 2024? So it was in April, right? It's usually gonna be the month, whatever the number of that month is going to match the ending of that year. So just like the year was 2/4, then the month would be 4, because it would end in 4, and then the numbers in the middle would be 2. So it would be with the 20s. So it would be when it turns to April 20th. So from April 20th to April 29th, that was the palindrome vortex of last year. And the year before, it would be 2023, so it would be the third month, so it would be March. March would have been that where you would have caught that palindrome, and before that. So just to kind of highlight that to you, that's for those who are tapping into this numerology and how to find these vortex. And it has to do with finding numbers that are repetitive and numbers that are that have some type of palindrome effect. And then there's other numbers as well, because there's the new beginnings. For those of you who've been with me since I was talking about the new beginnings, which is from the 10th through the 19th of every month, you will find a certain numerological code from the 10th through the 19th. Whether it would equal the number of that day or the number of that day plus 1. As I was doing it all year, I believe I did it all year of 2023. For those of you who are with me, and I would say this month, new beginnings is the number of that day plus 1, or the number of that day plus 2, and we went all through the year like that. So there's different ways of finding these vortexes or vortices. I don't know how they pluralize it. But yes, it's to know that there's one every year. So with that said, there's one for the 3D calendar, and there is one for the 5D calendar. There's one according to the 3D timeline, right? The one for the 3D calendar operates as a bridge, right? So a bridge to portal. It's like a bridge portal, right? To help those bridging over from 3D into 5D. And it's according to their level of advancement in their soul. So it's not everybody that's going to be able to just jump over, but it depends on where you are in your soul's work and how you're advancing. And then when you find what I call these portals and vortices, I call them energetic hotspots, right? And the vortexes to me are a little bit more powerful than the portals. A lot of time the portals open up a vortex, or in this case we had the 2525 portal in the middle of the vortex. So a lot of times there's a portal involved, and vortexes are some type of expanded portal, right? So it gives you that opportunity to do some portaling through on an expanded level when it's a vortex. So, and there's usually more spiritual work to do depending on what that vortex usually has some kind of theme that your spirit will guide you to. I usually share what the theme is. If it comes up for me, I share it here with you all. For some people, you may get downloads of your own that tells you what this theme, what you should be getting out of this vortex. Ashe. So that's for the 3D one. Now the one for the 5D calendar, it operates as more like an arena for those in the 5D frequencies and timelines to fine tune their soul's ascensions, to level up and to find others to network with who vibrate within the similar 5D frequency. So it's an opportunity for the ones that are in 5D, when we have our vortex, which will be coming up in the probably around October, around that time, the 7th month, according to the 5D calendar. In the 7th month, there will be a palindrome vortex from the 10th through the 19th, right? Because we're in the year 2017. So the numbers are going to look palindrome around that time, with the 7 on the end and then the 1 in the middle, and then the numbers in the change in the middle are going to change, right? So that's to give us a little note about the palindrome and how to look out for it. Ashe, ashe. So let me get into this spiritual completion that we're having. So this is the information I got that I'm sharing with you now. So during this spiritual completion, at the end, which is at the end of this palindrome vortex, there is a restoration of perfection, right? There's a restoration of perfection within the infinite repetition, as the infinite repetition returns us to the isness. Let me say that again. There is a restoration of perfection within, as the infinite protection, the infinite repetition returns us to the isness at the point of balance within the allness of source. So all that's saying, I know it comes to me in these ways. That's why I got to go back and look at it, because it just comes in these ways that I don't normally speak, to be honest. So it just comes out and it's like, okay, I gotta read this, because this ain't how I talk. So what's happening is that with the spiritual completion, it's a restoration of perfection. Let me explain it the way that I understand it. So meaning return to perfection. When we return to the isness at the 9th dimension, it is returning back to the isness of all that God is. And it's a restoration of perfection for us, because the divine just is. Perfection needs no restoration. But for us, it is being restored onto understanding or an acceptance of perfection within us, right? As the infinite repetition returns us to this isness, meaning coming from the 8, coming from the repetition over and over again. And it is that said repetition on the infinite wheel of everything that keeps us in the flow of isness, that returns us to the isness when we just accept the repetition as infinite existence. We no longer look at it as this just keeps repeating. We look at it as being in the repetition is a certain beingness of infinite existence that returns us to the isness of it all, right? Within the allness of source, that isness, right? So this isness is a spiritual completion that has ascended through the 9 dimensions of time, space, reality on multiple life journeying levels or layers, but particularly through this vortex. From the point of neutrality, right? Stick with me, because I'm going to go through all 9 right now, right? So particularly through this vortex from what? 0, that was the 20th with the 0 in the middle. From the point of neutrality to the law of one, or what is also known as unification, to the harmony of duality, right, which is the two dimension, the 2nd dimension, to the creative completion and a main portal at that, to the foundational balance, right, to the 5, to the physical spiritual balance, aka the point of change, right? 5 is dead smack in the middle between between the 9 dimensions. So it's the point of change. Ashe. To 6, the receptive completion, to manifestation, or also known as the return of completion, that's the 7. To the infinite existence or repetition, that's the 8. And to the spiritual completion, that's the 9. So through this whole vortex, particularly through this vortex, we've been going through the 9 dimensions, has ascended. Something has ascended. Whatever the theme is, we should have been ascending through this theme, which is the 2 and the 5. The whole theme is the change through harmony. That's the 5 and the 2. And with the 5 and the 2 make 7. So the actual theme is some type of manifestation, which is what are we manifesting? And I'm going to get into that as I point out where the 7 shows up in this. Ashe. And also with all of this, it's amplified. It's amplified according to the soul's alignment with where they truly are within the vortex in time. Intention magnifies the glory. So it's where and that's how I heard it as soon as I was like, oh, because intention magnifies the glory. So wherever your intentions are, this is why they say where attention goes, and I like to say intention, where intention goes, energy flows and the result shows. So the results in your life thereof will show according to your intentions. So this whole journeying, portaling through this vortex is amplified according to the soul's alignment with wherever you truly are. Not where you say you are, not where you want to be, but where you truly are according to true heart vibrations within the vortex of time. Right? And knowing what your intentions truly are. What are your true motives? What are your true intentions? That's what's for you in this palindrome to bring you to this completion of today, right? So with that said, along with the palindrome day code of 9, because that's what the code is, the palindrome, the code in the middle of the palindrome is 9. So along with that code being a 9 as spiritual completion, there is the universal day of 25, which reduces to 7. So remember what I said earlier, if you count up the numbers of the day, the entire date, meaning 5, 29, 20, 25, every digit in the entire date, right? Not leaving off the 2 and 20, but the entire date, you're going to get 25. And the 2 and the 5 is 7. So along with the 9, there is the 7, right? As the return of completion or manifestation. So there is an emphasis on not only completion, but the manifestation thereof. There is an activation of manifestation that holds the energetic coordinates of completion through an activity of return. Let me break that down, because I want us to really feel that. Let me slow it down, I should say, as I'm saying that. So what's happening is with this 7, there's an emphasis on not only completion as in the spiritual completion, but the manifestation thereof, the manifestation of this completion, right? That's another, because that 7 is also the return of completion, which is simply perfect outworking of the law, miracle. That's the meaning of miracle, according to the creative process. There's a creative process that we adhere to. And through this 7-day step, through this, that's why they got the 7 days in Genesis. It's not 7 days, it's 7 steps of a creative process that creates, that is manifestation. Ashe. So that manifestation is a return of completion. That creative process is the return. It's like a return to spirit. It's a re-spiriting that operates as a return to completion. Right? That through working through the 6 steps. The 6 days are the actual work that it takes. That's why on the 6th day it said, male and female created he them both. It shows you the creation completion around the 6th day. But the 7th day is equally as important, because the 7th day is where you take your hands out of it and just allow the divine energy to match you. It is trusting the universe and the divine to match your frequencies. What you put out, what you've worked towards, that's the first 6 days. The 7th is complete trust in the creative process and allowing the universe to match your vibrations. Ashe? And that is the true manifestation. That is the magic of it all. Right? So I say that just so we understand the tone of manifestation. Right? So there is, now this is the part where I got to slow it down. There is an activation of manifestation that holds the energetic coordinates of completion through an activity of return in the creative process into an acceptance of spiritual perfection in isness. So what is all that saying? That there's with this completion times completion, it's like a double of completion, that there's an activation happening. Something is activating the manifestation. Through this, there's an activation of that manifestation, and that activation is holding the energetic coordinates of all of this completion. You know how you have coordinates? It's holding these energetic coordinates of this completion through through the activity of return. That's the 7. The activity of return in the creative process, as I just spoke about, and that's the 7. So through the activity of this 7 into the 9. So it's like the 7 going into the 9. So through the activity of this manifestation, this return to completion, into an acceptance of spiritual perfection, into an acceptance of this, because the perfection just is. So it is into an acceptance. When we get to the 9, we reach a certain type of acceptance, which is the highest vibration, highest frequency of love, is acceptance. You accept what is, and you accept this spiritual perfection of isness. And so there's an activation of allowing this. So for some of us, if we're really working these principles, working these truths, for some of us, today would have felt more flowing, more of an acceptance, more of, okay, this is what it is. This is, the repetition. It just happens. And I just have to know that this repetition equals my infinite existence. And with that understanding, I return to the isness. I return to the perfection. I accept what is. I accept the creative process, manifestation. I've worked this manifestation, this 7 that carries me into the 9. All right. In other words, the activity of the 7, the activity of the 7 that leads into the 9. It is that activity of the 7 that leads into the 9, which is a harmony of completion by cosmic design. Oh, that's the way I said it? I do remember that's how it came out. It was like, okay, let me say it the way it came out my head. In other words, the activity of 7 that leads into the 9, which is a harmony of completion by the cosmic design. That's how it came to mind. And that is how it came to mind, see? And those are incantations. Like when they come out like that, I know it's some type of incantation that's solidifying what's happening in the energetic field. It's beautiful. Like when it came out, it just sounded beautiful. Like, okay, this is it. This is what it is. It's part of the cosmic design. It's the harmony of completion by cosmic design. That's 7 into the 9. Ashe. Now, to look a little bit more, this 7 also holds an underlying theme. This is where I saw the 777. So this 7 also holds an underlying theme throughout this palindrome, with the 2 and the 5 in the mirrored reflection. Right? The beginning you have 5, 2, and at the end you have 2, 5. So you see it in the mirrored reflection. The 2 and the 5 holds a vibration of 7 on both sides. In this case, there is a 777 code for today, as well as on the 27th. I didn't notice this till today, but I looked at it and I said, oh, if that's the case, we had a 777 on the 27th, because the 2 and the 5 on both sides is a 7 and a 7, and the 7 in the middle is a 7. So we had a triple code, a 777 on both days. I just want us to reflect on that reflection in time. Ashe? Right? Which is a manifestation times 3, or as I call it, the Trinity of manifestation. And you know, the Trinity just means another, it's like the power of the creative completion, the Trinity, the three. And so there's the creative completion of this manifestation. That's a whole nother, that's even deeper. I love when the Trinity is involved. When you see these triple numbers, it's the Trinity of that dimensional number of what it stands for. Ashe. This is truly highlighting that we are to be. And when I mean to be, I mean the number 2, capital B as in B, and E as in evolved. Be evolved. Be evolved. So this is highlighting that we are to be manifesting throughout this whole change in harmony within the palindrome vortex. So that is highlighting that. That's what really came out in all of this. It was like, ooh, we were supposed to be manifesting. The theme really is manifesting. I kept saying it's change through the harmony of duality, because I kept seeing 5, so that's change, and 2, so harmony of duality. And it's still correct. It's just a breakdown of the 7. Overall, it's manifesting, because when you change through the duality of harmony, you do what? You create, you manifest. Right? When you harmonize, that 2 goes into a 3 and you create. It becomes creative. And then when you get to the point of change because of this said harmony of duality, and you finally get to the point of change because of how well you are harmonizing, and now you reach this pivotal point of change, because that 5 represents physical spiritual balance, which is creating that change. And when you have that change, it will definitely take you into manifestation. When you have that change, you're going to then be receptive. No numbers are being skipped, believe me. But it takes you into the next one. So overall, this theme throughout the palindrome has been a manifestation. It was just broken down for us to chew, let's say, for us to appropriate it better, because manifestation is a big word for a lot of people. It is broad, and a lot of people see manifestation on so many levels, but we needed to break down how we're manifesting, right? We needed to be able to metabolize it. So the 5 and the 2 brings it down for us a little bit more. And it's like, no, there needs to be change. You're not just going to get a magical manifestation. And how is there going to be change? Oh, it's going to be through the harmony of duality. So when you harmonize those duality complexes that you have around you, within you, when you stop pinning yourself against each other, stop pinning yourself against other thoughts in your mind, stop making things such an opposition. We got enough opposition energy out there. We don't need to pin our thoughts against each other, or pin ourselves against others even. However they're showing up, have acceptance, have harmony, harmonize within yourself to see how you show up, so you can release them to their now in accordance to how they show up. Take nothing personal, depersonalize, so that you can focus on the harmony within you that is going to bring true change. In 5D, this is how we move through 5D. There's no war, there's no fighting, because everything is unity consciousness. And if everything is unity consciousness, then we don't have a need to put something against another, even if something is coming up against us. There's no reality in that, because the truth is, it's all one. The truth is, it is a lesson. It is something that is coming up to show you something. So the quicker you harmonize it is the quicker that you create change, the quicker that you change your perspective, and it's the quicker that you manifest. Ashe? So as I say, and I'm going to say that again, this is truly highlighting that we are to be manifesting through this whole change and harmony within the palindrome vortex. Change, 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 right? While we were manifesting with the new moon. So look at this, more emphasis on manifestation, because in the middle of this palindrome vortex, whose theme is manifestation, we had the new moon. So there was a double up on manifestation. So even if you didn't even know about the palindrome, if you are working with the new moon and doing your new moon manifestations, rituals that those of you maybe do, if you don't know what the manifestation is, there are certain rituals that you may do with the new moon that fosters this manifestation. And for those of you who have been in my groups, we know what that manifestation looks like, from the crown going down to the root and doing your think abouts, because the think abouts activates what we're manifesting and what we're bringing into it. Helps us to synchronize bringing that into the new earth, right? Allowing ourselves to structure, to construct the new earth by implementing those think abouts. And that works personally for us as well as for others, right? Not for the collective. That's how we help the collective. We don't go in trying to change the collective. We do it by working on us. So when we work on those think abouts in our own soul, we are setting the intentions not only for us, because our think abouts are twofold for those of you who do know, right? It's thinking about you, and it's thinking about how it shows up for the 5D collective, so that we are focusing our intentions. Where intentions go, the energy flows. So we set our intentions on the 5D collective so that the energy flows into and through the 5D collectives to help solidify. With every new moon, we are manifesting another level into the 5D. And this is a major one because we're going through major shifts in time, as we've been talking about. And on top of that, as we're closing out, closing out Taurus, entering into the Gemini season, closing out the month of May with all this change. And we have the major planets that have the other two that have shifted. The only one left now is Uranus, that is going to be shifting next. So change, and that's the planet of change, right? So we were doing all of this while we were manifesting with the new moon. So let the manifestations begin. If we're seeing manifestation and manifestation, let the manifestations begin. Get in, right? Highlight what it is for you that you've been manifesting. Use this as a reflection. If you didn't notice it before, reflect on what you've been doing over the past 9 days. Reflect on what you did with the new moon, and that's a 7-day step from the crown to the root for those of us who work with the new moon 3 days before, 3 days after. And today is a double closure then, because today is closing out the new moon where we end on our root. This is the 3rd day after the new moon, so we're on our root chakra, manifesting and bringing in everything from the divine idea, right? From illumination in the divine idea to faith in the third eye, to imagination in the throat, to will and understanding in the heart, to discrimination or discernment, for those who don't like the word discrimination, in the solar plexus, to realization in the sacral, and to rest in the root, because rest is to trust and be in assurance and trusting the creative process, trusting that what you put in, the work that you put in, is what you're going to get out of it. And that's how you portal through. These palindrones, these vortexes or vortices, however you say it, are energetic hotspots. These portals, they're energetic hotspots for us to plug in and tap in to these energies, these frequencies, and have an energetic exchange and tap in, tune in, to tune up, to be attuned and to fine tune, however you want to look at it. But that is what it is. And for those of us who have been taking the time to go through it, eating the right things, fasting, I gave some things that you can do. Fast, remove yourself from low vibrational person, places, or things, and raising your vibration as much as you can to the 10th degree. All of that is helping you to withstand a lot of these frequencies, because timelines are still collapsing. Right? There is a lot going on out there, and I'll get into that. There's some more information that I got, but I want to talk about that later, because that's I want to focus on the palindrone and just have us look into this energetic hotspot that we were just in, this expanded energetic hotspot, and really have us to invest our souls in that. And whatever other message I got, which was a good one, it really was a good one. You're going to want to look out for that. I'll probably do it Saturday night, do it in the live. it's a topic that I know is worth us looking into, especially for those of us who are aware of our past lives and some of the densities that we've had to work through multiple past lives. I got a little bit of insight on that just to give you a little sneak peek. So look out for that on Saturday, and I'll share what meditation that is with you. And one last note before I close out, what I realized too, and I'll probably speak more on this on Saturday as well, but the wind, as the wind was blowing, to recognize that when the wind blows, it's showing us a shift in time in the atmosphere. And that's something that I noticed. And the leaves fall, so pay attention. Those leaves are sometimes the people that are falling away. So pay attention to when the wind blows. And I'll speak a little bit more on that, because that wind is the energetic body. And that was something else that was coming up in the meditation today. But I'm going to keep it on the palindrome, and looking at, as we close out the new moon, we close out this palindrome vortex and going through the 9 dimensions. Peace. Wishing you so much peace and love. Let me know how this worked out for you. Like, subscribe, share, comment if you dare. Let me know if you're looking for the calendars. Ashe, and